watching prohibition fall down. What is up, DGC? It's Scotty, and kind of a little special hang today. It's a Friday afternoon hang with Jaron. Jaron, New Millennium. What's up, brother?
How are you? How is everybody? Good to see you guys, I guess, or be here.
Yes, man. All right. You'd be present.
Yes,
man.
It's great to be present. It's it's good to be here. Friday. Beautiful day in Colorado.
I'm just thinking, man, if we're recording this in the present, but it's airing in the future, are we in the present right now, man? Huh?
Oh, shit. Now you don't. I don't know, man. Now you blew my mind a little bit. I'm confused.
Come on, man. You know how I do it? I know how you do it. What are we smoking?
What we are smoking on is some unicorn poop, actually.
It's amazing that you can have weed is so good that you can say unicorn poop and the connotation will be like, oh man, it's gonna be dank. What the hell is a unicorn poop, man?
So the unicorn poop is, let's see here.
We've got the
look at the.
Yeah, it's got to be a Blazy Susan. I don't mind. We'll get sued for it.
Yeah,
it's okay. Blazy Susan is a company.
Susan
Shout out to you.
Is in the house. That right there is the unicorn poop. So that's from Gromer. So that's a Thug Bug Genetics. It's Sophisticated Lady Cross GMO. It's really got that very nice GMO funk to it, that garlic gas. But as people can see, in my opinion, it's got a lot better structure than GMO does. GMO is a little bit speary. It's a little bit airy. It's very great for extracts. It will throw down in total. Your total weights on GMO are great, especially if you give her the time. But this has a shorter flowering time, the same funk, and in my opinion, a little bit better bud structure.
How long? How many weeks?
This one is actually taken in about 8.5 weeks. Typically, now granted, I use Winter Frost, which we've got some Frost sodas.
It is amazing, man. This is a hell of a cream soda.
It's a very good cream soda.
Frost man.
We haven't been doing this out long, but we're experimenting with it.
We only made 4 of them.
Yeah. Sorry, that one probably got a little high in the mic. Anyhow, it's now you're done throwing off my Friday afternoon, folks. So again, I do love the bud structure on it. I take everything to about 8.5 weeks, and that's even a straight GMO, which I've got.
You take everything to 8.5 weeks?
8.5, maybe 9, but I use Winter Frost, which initiates that senescence right there at the end. Obviously, we brought some for
Does
your
it
garden.
really? Because I'm gonna have. I'm trying to do perpetual harvest. We'll get into my grow in a second because I do want I need some help with that. That's why I'm running New Mill, because I need a little bit of help.
Absolutely. So
I know
one of the beauties of Winter Frost is that you can take your garden down more evenly. It initiates senescence. Senescence is a natural ripening process.
Sure.
It happens with any annual plant. We just get to say, as the gardener, this is when I want it to happen. So it just helps your whole garden come down a lot more evenly. So I know you've got some nice new fresh clones in the fresh garden, don't you?
I do, man.
What you got there?
First off, man, I guess I wear glasses somewhere. Yeah, I can't seem to see shit. I think this says sour lime cookies.
From our friend Two Tone. If I don't, if my memory is not mistaken me.
And then who's the Face Off?
Face Off is that's Archive, I believe, which is that is. Oh man, what is the actual genetic? But I believe that's actually an Archive genetic. Face Off OG. It's good. It's a super classic.
Awesome.
I love the bud structure on it. Reminds me a little bit of Gorilla Glue in some ways, believe it or not. It's more bud structure, but it definitely has a more OG gas kind of terp profile to it. Both those are bangers, though. Those are real top quality.
Yeah, you know what? We'll get into it because they don't look top quality now, man. They don't look. You know what? Hang on 1 second, because I fucked up the rotation, man. I got a whole rotation of bud here. People love it when you tell us about your bud.
All right. Well, we got the Blazy Susan. So I guess we started with the...
we'll start right here, man. How does that look?
That looks great. Yeah, no, that's great. That's
what
perfect.
the hell is that, man? You drive,
right
Swanson. You drive.
That right there is Komodo Breath. So that's from Mycotech Seeds. Shout out to Mycotech. Terp Chaser, I believe, does some work with them as well.
Mycotech,
Mycotech.
Fungus Tech. I love it.
I'll be honest, if anybody follow his page, that guy does some crazy. So it's Mykotek. Does ball pythons, pit bulls.
These are all
hot
strains?
peppers. No, these are all different things. Hot peppers. He does California or Carolina Reaper peppers, and then cannabis as well. Really interesting guy. I've never met him personally.
Right.
I can't even tell you that I even know where he's at, but very interesting genetics as well. And just one of those guys that clearly has an eye for quality and for diversity and for uniqueness. Again, his ball python collection is insanity.
Were you ever a snake guy?
I was never a snake guy.
I'm scared shitless
I don't
of
like snakes. I don't like snakes.
I told you, we were out here and Guru found the snake, or we found the snake, and Guru goes, yeah, I'll just pick it up. And I'm like, that's shit people say. They say that, but they don't do it. His ass just fucking went there, picked it up. I was like,
well, even interestingly enough,
they're gonna bite you.
So this is true story about snakes. So again, to answer your question very quickly, no, I'm not a snake guy. Do I think some of the coloration on those ball pythons and stuff, it's out of this world. It's it's kind of like tattoos. I'm like, man, that's really cool. I don't have any though, right? So no, I'm not a snake guy. But here's a Mr. Don't pick up a snake. I'm at Rocky Grass Bluegrass Festival 2 summers ago. Back when we could actually do shit and go to festivals and stuff.
Back when you could bring your snake to a bluegrass festival.
Well, it was something like that. But anyway, we're literally in the playground, and my nephew's like, "Hey, it's a snake." I'm like, oh shit. I run over, I trap this little snake. It's not a real big snake, right? And I'm like, oh, this thing's weird. It's like striking ass a little bit. I'm like, huh. And I'm from the Midwest, so I've been around copperheads a lot, right? And I'm like, it really looks like a copperhead. Huh. I look up on my phone. There's no documented copperheads anywhere in Colorado. Oh, that's weird. Then I take a look at what a copperhead looks like at that age, and I'm like, well, I'm going to tell you right now, that's a motherfucking copperhead.
Jesus.
So yeah. Anyway, to your point, I wouldn't go picking shit up either. I don't know what the hell's wrong with this guy back here.
He swears he's a redneck.
Hey, snakes are cool, and if you know what you're doing handling snakes, you're not gonna get bit.
Look, I've watched a lot, of various reptilian shows, starting with Crocodile Hunter, God rest his soul, of people catching snakes.
That is dude's personal hero, Crocodile Hunter, man.
I have, but I'm still not sure I'm confident. You watch the Florida ones? We should just go to Florida and start catching pythons. They're making good money on that shit these days.
Yeah. That's the reality where I'm from, man.
No, I know it is. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like there ain't a mammal to be seen in the Everglades anymore. Pythons ate them all. It's all fucking gone.
Either that or they've drained it and built multi-track homes, man.
That has also happened.
It's unbelievable. I was just down there. I tell you what, I don't know if you caught, it was actually some bad footage, but I went down to Florida and went to a huge cannabis facility. Actually, they were just doing CBD right now, but setting up for cannabis. It was 100,000 3 gallons, but just done in a commercial setting, done right, man.
No kidding.
Yep.
You know what?
Auto seeders and shit.
And that's the thing. They're very set up for a lot. In fact, it's a lot of the old tomato facilities that are taking that over.
Yep. Homestead.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah. So one that shout out to MUV down there. They're actually doing really good work as well. They've got a massive facility outside of Tampa. It's literally, when they're done with it, it's going to be over 5 acres indoors.
Okay? Well, that's what
you know what I mean? We're talking like
CIGN. These, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, right on. And they're doing good quality too. They're using New Millennium along with a few other things. So shout out to Move. Yeah.
Nice. So that shit scales up, man.
It definitely scales up. Absolutely. I'll be honest with a lot of people these days. We tell everybody like, hey, it's we understand that salts are out there, things like that are out there. People are obviously trying to bring their price per gallon down, and that's very understandable, especially when it's your bases. And for a liquid base, for some people, that's a little bit extreme to have something that's in, let's say, the 30, 40, 50 cents a gallon range, even as a full recipe. And you have a lot of people that are also mixing their own salts, but I'll also look, and I have had to do this, and look, large producers directly in the eye and said, thank you, Guru, and said, your weed looks great. It photographs really great. It even smells good, but it just lacks some soul. Like there's no, like the smokability of it is not there. And you can tell they're a little bit like, and they're like, yeah, you're right, And so I tell people we have a whole recipe that, because this is how realistic we are about it. I mean, at the end of the day, if you can't beat them, join them, right? If you're going to be successful, and us being a small independent, it's all about grabbing in, that's the whole gateway jug concept, and everything else is saying, okay, well, do exactly what you're doing and just put this in and get that more oil, get that more color, get that more individualization of your strains.
Right.
So I literally have a whole recipe that's called a sauce your base recipe, which there's no bases on it. It's just taking our additives and putting right around it. So I have people using a variety of different bases and stacking all our additives around it to very, very high quality results. So that's one of the things that we're seeing a lot of these large facilities. Using a salt, saving some money there, doing that shit for 5-10 cents a gallon, something like that, and then still turn around and spending some money on the high quality additives to really help round it out and make it a more, a user friendly and smoker friendly brand.
It does make sense, man.
It does. I tell everybody all the time, New Millennium is a smoker's brand.
Yeah.
You smoke it, you realize it's soft. It's a softer smoke. It's not super harsh.
Right.
You know what I mean? It creates a lot of oil. It creates the right type of positive stresses to really get, the profiles, the taste, the smells, and everything else that you really want. So that's why we went ahead and hooked you up and made sure that your new grow that you got all built out is so set up proper from day one.
So good to have friends, brother. I mean, even getting clones. I think I said something there. The dude was busting my balls about, am I popping seeds or what am I doing? I'm
Sure.
like, no. Asking my friends for clones, man.
Absolutely.
And then I get these beautiful cuts and everybody's like, Colorado problems. The memes start.
Right. The memes to start flying. And I will say that SLC, that sour lime cookies, that's a gem. Again, that's a two-tone Willie gem. Shout out to our boy. Yeah, actually, I met him through you guys, and that's,
You guys are badass, man.
He's a wizard, You know what I mean? And I know I don't, have to say this, and plenty of people tell him that, but definitely somebody that I've always looked up to in the industry as well, and somebody that's, a proponent in the right ways, you know what I mean? And definitely an overgrow type mentality,
right.
Non-corporate type mentality.
Yeah,
so
those are badass.
Yeah, 100%. shout out to Two Tone.
And what is it? Two-tone, just at Two-Tone Willie?
Yeah, Two-Tone Willie, and then he also has Two-Tone Genetics, which is what, he's done a lot of his, which
Cherish
I'll tell you right
those
now.
Motherfuckers.
Yeah, exactly. That if anybody out there has those beans, that is something to be absolutely cherished. There's fire in it. Anything he's ever put out, it's guaranteed fire in there. And I'll tell you, it's the only person ever in my life, and I'm not hoping not throwing him under the bus by saying this, but it's the only person in my life that I've ever traded a cut with, and within no bullshit, less than 6 months, I had a seed pack of what I traded him and across given back to me in seed form. So yeah, pretty special there.
Oh yeah, man. Hey, you know what? I'm doing a terrible job. We'll take a little interludes, man, and we'll go through the weed, man.
Oh yes. Okay, so
what is that? What is that?
That's Cushman's 11. So that's the rabbit hippie cut of Cushman's 11. It's definitely. It reminds me a lot of like old school Bubba. It's got kind of that just soft and just milky kind of smoke to it. It's a little bit subtle. It does have kind of a cushy, minty aspect to it. It's a very nice, subtle and smooth smoke. Definitely one that I like a lot. I've been running through and playing with her for a little bit. People like her quite a bit as well.
I gotta ask: are you sativa, indica dominant? We smoke a ton of weed.
Right?
Does it just all get you high, or do you tell me?
Yeah, I'm not like as a joke, I always say, "Oh, do you like to dab? Do you like to eat edibles?" I'm like, man, I'm equal opportunity.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
it's very 2020 of you.
Yeah.
2021.
Yeah.
2020 would suck.
Yeah. God. So to me, like, good herb is good herb, and
but you do have a date. Would you smoke? You got 5 different kinds of herb here. Would you smoke one in the daytime, and one in the evening, or anything?
No, I don't. I don't. There's
flavor.
I don't pay attention to that at all.
Pretty sure.
I'll be smoking gas first thing in the morning. I wake up real early. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and do, emails at 2:30, 3:30 in the morning. And then I'm up again at 6, and I'm pretty much smoking gas from the time I wake up till the time I go to bed. So,
jeez, that's so strange, man. You do emails from 3 and then again at 6, man. I would have never guessed it.
Really?
That's awesome, man.
So I guess I'll go through them first, and then I'll say what my personal favorites are.
Okay.
So we did already talk about the unicorn poop. Like we talked about, that's kind of where we started, and then we started to backlog and keep working around. So
keep me on track, man.
Now that is the Crown OG. Acquired that from Slaughter Genetics. That's Legend OG Cross SFV. We talked a little bit about it. It's got that tennis ball burnt rubber, super cushy taste. smoke, ambrosia, kind of thick smoke to it. Nice bright orange hairs, good, a little bit of purple color to it. That's been one of my new favorites. I mean, that thing is just, she's a gem. And not everything, you pop that bag open, you pop that jar or bucket or whatever open, and you really get punched with that, like she's just like, if you've never smelled Kush before, you'd go, that must be what Kush smells like. It smells like, being in some exotic valley in Nepal or Nepalese hash or, incense, kind of all that going on with.
I'm on a ship at sea in the scent of spices.
It's all like, it's very exotic, But the best part is it translates to the flavor, which very annoying to me when you have that kind of wonderful and beautiful look and smell, and it does not translate to the taste. And at the end of the day, I don't think we have to settle for anything. You know what I mean? I believe that there's enough variety and opportunity out there. We don't have to settle for anything, whether it's yield, taste, look, you know what I mean? Anything. Even, and for me as a grower, or anybody as a grower, I love when people are like,
never settle.
Or somebody's like, oh, I really love cookies, was a great example of that. Oh, I love cookies. Like, have you ever grown cookies? No,
I have a hat.
It's not fun to grow. It doesn't produce a whole lot. You know what I mean? It's like the difference between what a consumer gets in the bag can be completely different than how a grower views it. As the person who has it in the bag, I don't give a shit if it produced an ounce or 100 ounces off of one plant. And there's not a big difference in the price for the end user, which is kind of a whole different discussion. But point is it's like, there's no. How you look at it as a grower versus how you look at it as a consumer is different.
And you didn't mention yield.
No.
You didn't mention yield on these motherfuckers.
Right. Well, and personally, I don't look to yield as the biggest component, but I do look at it as a component, okay? And I will say I don't believe you need to settle anymore. I don't believe you have to sacrifice yield. I don't believe you have to sacrifice bag appeal just to get terpene profiles or whatever. I believe if you're patient and you spend time either popping beans or associating with the right people and gaining the right cuts, I believe that you can find everything and not have to sacrifice anything. The other complicating factor to that is what works well in my garden, because what works well in my garden might not work as well in your garden or your garden or your garden. You know what I mean? So,
meaning, what do you think the variables are? Different amounts of light?
I think there's many variables at the baseline of it all. What is phenotype? Genotype, which is the genes, plus environment, which is your grow, equals phenotype. So at the
Is that really what it is, for real?
Yeah, for real. So at the baseline, without getting into a lot of other things, it fucking tells you the whole story right there. So my environment, your environment, your environment, your environment, or outside or inside or whatever is different. So it's going to be a different expression of the genotype.
Yeah. Well, my specific grow delivers a different phenotypical expression, right? Just because we're taking the same
Absolutely.
genotype.
Like you asked about the Komodo grass. Oh, well, let me see how that looks. There's somebody else that's growing it. Well, guess what? It's going to look different.
It does look different. Yeah.
And he's growing it with different lighting, and he's different, different nutrients, different whatever. All that's part of environment, right? So at a very base level, so now you're not only selecting for what's the hot shit out there or what's really good or what looks good or what you like, it's what works well in your garden. So that's going to be part of your process now in a new room, is going, well, what's digging on my lights? What's like in the HLGs? What's like in the, what's
what
doing
can handle that much light?
Exactly.
Man.
Exactly. Which obviously we had some light toxicity issues here.
I'm going to grab these because we're growers and you're an excellent grower. So this isn't about nutrients, but this is about, I guess, environment. Even sunshine burns if you get too much. You ever hear that one?
Well,
Chick ever give you a breakup letter with that one in it, man?
No, I've not got that one. but Scotty is from Florida, so he knows what a sunburn's about. You know what I mean? It's like light can be toxic.
Look at this, man. So this is something where a lot of people will, I don't think we get too many questions about this, but I had to learn this. I had to learn this for myself. When I first came to Colorado, I was so psyched that you could legally grow 12 plants. So I'm like, well, fucking, I'm growing 12 plants under 12 1,000 watt lights. And
duh. What do you mean? Why would you do it any other way?
Yeah, but when I fired them all up, my plants look like that. And your plants are not supposed to look like this. This is a weak looking plant. It you can see the leaves just don't look good.
It's
man.
just not
Something's
vibrant.
right. It is not vibrant.
It doesn't look like it's a super love and light. It's almost like the cuticle layer has been pretty much knocked off the top because you don't have any real shine, any real vividness to it. And at the very top, you can see the way it's ridged out.
Yep.
Everything else, it's obviously a little bit pissed off. So
Yes,
it's trying to transpire too hard.
This came from very low light to just an LED bar that looks so fucking innocent, man. Those LED bars, it was like, I think, it was 135 watts, but it looks like a damn...
It looks like nothing, right?
Yes.
And that's what I said. I said, hell, if my thinking back in the day, I'd have put 3 of these up here.
I
And
put
said,
2 of them up
What's
for
the
a day.
problem? You know what I mean? And you can see what it did in one day. It went from, like you said, a low level, or really even more of a proper level, which is probably around 200 ppfd to like fucking 500 or 600 ppfd like that. Obviously, they're not super happy about that.
All right, yeah. So hang on. First off, I have an interlude. Man, you've gone to a ton of grows. You talked to a bunch of head growers.
Mhm.
Have you ever had to tell them that their plants kind of look like shit without insulting them?
It's hard. It's hard to feed that shit sandwich, my friend.
Oh my God, it's pretty.
But you know what? You're in there for a reason too. You know what I mean? So like, am I doing somebody a disservice by not saying, hey, you know what I mean? I'm seeing an issue here. And the reality is it's kind of like when we all look into ourselves and if somebody criticizes us or something and we're really honest with ourselves, we already fucking know. We already know. So you're either going to be defensive about it or you're going to go, okay, yeah.
Fucking right.
You're right, man. And you know what? I need to work on that as a person. So as a grower, I look at it the same way in that if they're being honest with themselves, they know there's a fucking problem there.
Right.
They can see, in fact, they're the first person that should know there's a problem there.
Nice.
So that's what I would say. I mean, it's this business is very ego driven. And it's very male dominated as well, which I'm not saying is a good thing. Come on, ladies. Seriously, come into the industry. We need more ladies in the industry. I think it's a very balancing thing. When it comes to even, any company, almost every cannabis company, almost not a lot of them have a lot of females, and the few of them that have some good, strong females, I think are really good teams. So unfortunately, it's been this very male-dominated
I have theory
business.
behind that.
Well, we can even get to the female plants. We really wanted to take that, but I feel like that's a whole other show.
Nice.
And I guess my point is that there's too much ego, and I think too many times when people try and have those real conversations and say, hey man, your plants look like shit, I'm going to tell you why they look like shit. People get too defensive, the ego's there, you know what I mean? So it's a tough conversation. It's a conversation I've had to have a lot.
Yeah, it's just interesting because I had to have it with myself last night, man. All right, last bud.
Last and certainly not least, and I did it because I'm about to roll it up and I need a little bit more anyway. So that's the member berry. So that's from Ethos Genetics. That's a skunk berry cross. Super floral berry, but also with that beautiful skunk back to it.
Damn, we need Colin from Ethos sitting here, man. He's local, and this is
he is. He's also a New Millennium user. And
all right, reach out then.
No, I can. I'll try and put that together.
I know him actually,
and I know I know if I remember right, and maybe I don't know, maybe Guru can back me up and tell me I'm a liar or I'm right. Either way, there was a poll that went out at one point in time that who were the favorite guests, and I'm pretty sure Colin and I were like number 1 and number 2.
You are correct, sir.
Okay, so
I was gonna mess with you until you were wrong, but not.
So I mean, I don't know. I'd love to sit and rap with Colin. So we'll see if we can potentially put that together, and if the community wants it, and they will it, then we'll try and make it happen. So
that's true. BGC, what do you think?
What do you think? But Scotty's definitely. I know we went through it on the live and whatnot, but excited for the new room, man.
Sure.
Built,
Before we even switch, though, man, because we did go on the live and we gave real good specifics, man.
We did.
Organic Keith was here.
He was.
I'm using some 65 and 130 watt LEDs.
Yeah, so
LED bars.
Yeah, and so that's from Thrive Agritech, to be
Right.
very clear
Right.
on the company. Is a little
Yep.
shout out to Thrive Agritech,
Yep.
and those are two different style bars. There's the Boost bar,
Sure.
and then the Infinity bar. The Infinity bar is the top light. That one I believe is like the 65, something like that.
So let's just talk about how much light just a we can rapid LED makes an 85 watt bar.
Yeah.
Very similar.
And really, it also depends on like how close your plant is to it. So
Sure.
there's a little bit of variability to there when it comes to intensity, et cetera, and really how much PPFD you're getting at the leaf sites themselves. But yeah, those boosts they are very powerful, as we found out.
Well, let's just say I'm just trying to get a general understanding of
About-
PPFD.
So in PPFD, micromoles, things like that. I mean, these are all trying to.
The reason I ask is Pulse has a PPFD meter that comes in their new, I can't remember, it's a Pulse One, whatever the Pulse Pro, I can't remember, but
Really nice.
yeah, the new one has a PPFD meter in it. So I'm getting one and I want to take measurements and I want to figure out the ultimate. So I'm pushing these things as much as they can take.
Sure.
And also I want to make sure that I got good PPFD, good light up here.
Right.
And good light down there.
Yeah,
to get
absolutely.
good penetration.
Absolutely.
So we were talking, just because you've got such good information.
Around 200, PPFD,
for these guys.
Is we're looking for something like that, right?
Yep.
Which is going to be more than you're going to need for cloning, for example. Obviously, if cloning step one, you know what I mean, you'd probably need about half of that,
Right.
These being really, truly, working in the juvenile stage, set to around 200 PPFD.
About 200.
If you're talking full scale, veg plants, we're looking like more like 400 PPFD, which those boost lights, two of them would have been very, very good.
So
for that.
230 watt LEDs will give you that.
Right, and I think those are 130 a piece, so it's like 285 micromoles, per boost, and then only about, I believe, 135 micromoles per infinity light bar. So I look at that two infinity light bars doing a whole 2x4, and it lights that whole thing up. So you were basically lighting with what a full-scale veg would need, even up to what you even need in flower, which again is about 600 ppm.
Okay, so it's easy enough then. We just it's 2, 4, 6, right? So
I'd say that's a really nice rule of thumb right there.
I'm a very simple person, bro.
I know this about you, bro. I know this about you. So yeah, that would say as a rule of thumb, that's going to be, quite nice. And even these, as you can see, the leaves are turned down away from the light a little bit because the plant's going to do that naturally. It's going to, this is way too much light. It's going to whoop, and it's going to turn them away from the light. It's going to do what it can to kind of protect itself. And in reality, we want when people talk praying to the lights, right? That, you know what I mean? Nice and turgid and just slamming towards the lights. These are clearly not that.
Yeah.
Now, at the end of the day, are these a lost cause? By no means.
Bounce right the fuck
By
back,
no
man.
means. Now, getting Keith in, putting the meter on there, stuff like that, putting numbers to it. Because hell, like I said, you had 2 bars on there. The reality, there's space for 3. Old school conventional thinking was, well, put 3 there.
Right.
What the fuck are we doing? We got room for another one.
They look like a T5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. And so they are deceptive, but that's part of it too, right? Lumens, which is what's brightness, which is what we see with our eyes. Lumens are for humans, right? This is PAR is for plants.
And let's just talk about that. We see a wider range of light than a plant sees.
Right, and it can be very bright with the shit spectrum for growing plants. So lumens, brightness, really doesn't say shit. And that's why you can look at an LED and go, well, it's not that crazy bright. But in reality, for a plant, there's a shitload of light coming out of there. So we're definitely going to get you dialed in. The beautiful part is, too, you have the cooling that you need to, having a 2-ton AC, things like that. You know what I mean? Because, doing the old school window shakers and stuff like that, again, you're basically starting from behind trying to do some of that.
It's all about environment. The only reason I'm doing this is because we
all
can do
about
it right,
environment,
man.
right? And
Real Growers is sponsoring this thing. Thank you, Recharge customers, sir, Recharge enthusiasts, and sir and ma'ams. And we're crushing it, man. This thing is built right, man. 2-ton AC. It's built from scratch, man. Rick's sitting over here just almost about to enjoy some of the fruits of the labor.
So it's and there's a lot to be said about preparing with the right kind of environment, because if you don't, and my whole thing is, and I'm sure I don't know how many times I've repeated this on here, but my hierarchy of importance, light and environment are 1 and 2, but I give them both the space because they're both even though they're almost the same thing and so synonymous and so intertwined,
Right.
they're so important. I give them both the space and I tie them 1 and 2.
Man, yeah, you know, you got to separate them because light is the energy, man.
But
Environment.
they're both so fucking important. You know what I mean? And light and heat are rather synonymous. People think, oh, you can get light without heat. No, you can't.
No, man.
And the reality is this, even the conversion factor on LED is not near as good as they think it is. If you have one of these high-end LEDs that's pumping out 660 watts, 850, those fuckers are hot. Make no bones about it. There's heat. You know, Mr. Newton taught us long ago that
There's no
energy
free
is neither
lunch,
created,
bro.
it's neither created nor destroyed, right? And the power that you're putting to something through the wall, I don't think it's much better than about 60% conversion factor. It's not that great.
Well, yeah.
It's really not. It's a little bit better than HPS, and enough so that it will matter over time. And also, the spectrum control you get in LED is a big difference over HID.
Well, hang on. It's way better than an HPS. What, an HP Guru, I turn on, if you would. HPS is what, 1.6 at the most micromoles per joule?
Yeah, like 1.65 with a new bulb is a good ballpark.
But
And we're at like 2.6.
Yeah, but what you're not talking about necessarily is heat. So the conversion factor, though.
Oh, it's the same. It's what, 2.48
that's what I'm
BTUs
saying.
per
So it's
watt.
like,
yeah.
And that's where people get a little fucked up. Is it a better light? Is it a more
Here's
efficient light now? Way? Yes, it is.
But if it's 2.5 BTUs per watt, and you take it's a 550 watt light that puts out the same amount of U-moles as 1,000 watt.
Yep.
It's still the same amount of heat as 550 watts of heat is the same.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and
but-
that's where people get screwed up with, oh, LEDs aren't any heat. What do you mean?
No.
If you got a big intense light and heat are very synonymous. They're on a parallel path.
And-
more light, more heat.
it is just a different type of heat, and it comes out
Correct.
in different places. With an
Sure.
HPS light, it's putting out infrared light. You can think of it like the light that comes off of a fire.
Yep.
It heats up your body like what's facing it. It does the same to plants.
Yep.
LED lights don't put out that infrared, so they're not heating up surfaces underneath them like a fire. It's more like a radiator where it has the heat sink
Right.
on the back to get the heat out that way.
That's
So
a really good analogy.
You're still putting it into your room. You're just putting it into your room in a different way.
Yeah.
Hey, Guru, I had one of those HLG 100s yesterday, and I was showing it to my daughter. I was like, hey, you know, I want to teach her a little bit about growing and just even about the lights and stuff. So I was like, look at this is an LED light. And I showed her the heat sink. And it was, you know, one of those ones with all the pointy, what do they call it, a pin fin or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, what do you think this is? And I talked to her about it. I told her that it was, you know, there was a heat sink, and I explained to her about the surface area. And then I said that they designed it after my hair. And she believed me. I said, yeah, I know these guys. They designed this out, you know, after my hair. And yeah.
Wow, Dad, that's awesome.
Yeah, so don't blow it for me, all right?
Yeah, don't fuck
But
this
that
up.
is interesting. Those heat sinks are trippy too. You know, I thought about like it's a bunch of these pins, and they're maybe like a 1/4 inch, maybe even probably like an 1/8 of an inch in diameter. And I was like, think about just wrapping a piece of paper around each one of those, and then flattening out that paper, and think about how much bigger it's going to be than just a little square. And, you know, how much more surface area of it's going to be touching and cooling.
Well, it's like the whole
Such a
thing,
trip,
and
man.
again, you know, the smart guy behind us with the computer. I believe Colorado has more surface area because of exactly what you're talking about, like actual land surface area for you to flatten it all out than the state of Texas.
I see.
A little trivia for you. Oh.
That is a little
Nuh-uh, man,
statistic
that
I'll
is
need to look
trippy,
into.
bro.
I have never thought about that. You're probably right.
Right, think about that shit,
Yeah,
right?
that's cool to think about.
Right. Anyway,
That's a trip. That's a trip.
So,
All right, hey, give me some tricks, man. So, like I said, I'm here to grow. And by the way, thank you for the.
So obviously, you know, I mean, and even going back, well, here's the tricks. Going back, and we literally did a whole show on it, but so I won't waste a lot of time beginning in the hierarchy. Light and environment, 1 and 2, tied. Genetics, number 3. You can't do shit without genetics. Well, you got the genetics, so
Sure.
you're good there.
Yep.
You know, 4 being the grower. That's you. That might be your variable here. And then 5 being nutrients. And I always say is if 1 through 4 aren't put together, 5, you might as well just piss on your plants.
Sure.
You'll never see the difference. You'll just never see the difference. But if you do have 1 through 4 put together, I truly believe, and not even believe, I know that you will see a difference in the expressions. You will see a difference in quality of nutrients and things like that.
Yeah.
But again, if 1 through 4 aren't put together, like no nutrient out there can overcompensate for 1 through 4 being fucked up.
Right.
You know, and a lot of people look at nutrients as a silver bullet or for a silver bullet to fix anything and everything. That's not possible. And then the other thing is people love to blame nutrients first, no matter what the fuck goes wrong.
Easy.
It's like, my AC went out, but goddamn those nutrients.
I
You know what
picked
I
the
mean?
wrong
It's
bottle.
like, yeah, so, and me being a nutrient, that's what, one of my beefs, I guess, but whatever. But once you do that, you can really see the expressions and see that. And, the whole thing with, the 19 plant essential nutrients, or 17, sorry. In reality, we could have the argument that guaranteed there's more than 17. It's just an instrumentation thing. However, let's not even have that argument. The reality is, though, you may have 17 essential for a plant to grow itself, produce seed, reproduce, everything else.
Yeah.
But there's definitely more in there that are beneficial, that may not be technically essential, but are absolutely beneficial.
Right.
And those are a lot of the things that Neil Watson has been focusing on for the last 20 to 30 years in developing this line and looking to create the type of positive stresses that we want to get the type of responses that we want, right? Because something like a trichome, if you look it up, it's going to say a plant hair. It's a general term. It's nothing special.
Right.
But what does a trichome do for us? Well, one, it happens to be the place where the THC is located. That happens to be what we're actually farming for.
Sure.
And it's not even in the whole trichome. It's only in the head of the trichome. But physiologically, why that's there on the plant is to protect itself from the sun, protect from a sunburn. It's to protect from desiccation. It's to protect from the cold. It's to attract pollinators. It's to do many different things.
Sure.
It's a multi-use thing. Now, what we've done as a human species has selected these things over time, over multiple thousands of years. There is minimum a 6,000 year history that humans have with cannabis. That's what we have documented. Didn't have a whole lot of writing before that, so we don't have a lot of documentation of that. But we know for a fact it's that far.
Makes complete sense, man.
Yeah, and the word cannabis itself is one of the oldest unchanged words in language, period, because it was traded between cultures. So even something like us being a slight generation apart, what you guys used a slang term as kids was very different than what I used.
Right.
Fuck, even different than what Guru used, right?
Yep.
And we're different than kids use today. So if there's something that's not traded between cultures, those terms change so fast. And if we were looking back in history and what was written, it'd be gone, or we wouldn't interpret it the same way.
I just read something about that today. They were saying if you go around the world, the number one word that you can say to somebody anywhere that they'll understand is okay. And then the number 2 is Kush. Nothing? It was Coke. I'm just fucking.
But again, Kush. I mean that kind of identifiability. So it's very interesting, our relationship, with cannabis as a species. And I always like to compare it to even like broccoli versus cauliflower versus kale versus Brussels sprouts. That's all Brassica oleracea.
Yeah, but I can.
It's all the same shit, right? But it's literally that's the same plant. We've just selected it over time.
Wait, what do you mean?
I mean, that's the exact same plant.
And we just found flowering.
So we found, hey, look at that one. That one's got that weird little knobby shit on it. That eventually became Brussels sprout. That was all hand selected over time.
What is
Obviously, there's modern breeding these days to accentuate shit like that, but that's all Brassica oleracea.
Right.
Broccoli, cauliflower, kohlrabi, kale, all Brussels sprouts, all of that is the same plant.
Yeah, now that I think about it, that does make sense. Because I think about, remember the High Times buds of 1977?
Right.
Look how far we've come in just 40 years,
Look how far we've come in just that little bit of time of hand selection and working of the lines and things like that, right? So I like to always, point out to people that, that the relationship we have with cannabis and also the way that it's came to be in its modern time has been, many thousands of years. I mean, even if you think about the neurological pathways, those didn't come in a generation or two. People didn't start smoking cannabis in 1972, and all of a sudden we have cannabinoid pathways in our brain.
No,
that didn't happen in a generation, right? So this is something that's
there was nothing to do back in the day except smoke weed. Walk around.
Well, and of course, people weren't doing it in the way we're doing it these days. You know what I mean? Right. But it was, used in different salves and things like that. I mean, they even say that the original word for holy oil before it was translated into Greek in the Bible was cannabesin, and that's the original word. And that holy oil was, you're talking, and there's an old actual recipe the priest put together, and it was like more cannabis than you can imagine, hundreds and hundreds of pounds concentrated down in the oil, and that was anointed onto people's heads, right?
Could you imagine, man? That would be a religious experience.
So, no, truly, quite truly. So think about this too, right? What we know today, right? Because we're in modern cannabis, if you will, the thing that really helped bring on the medical market was what? Seizures. That's what ended up in child seizures. Charlotte, that's what put you sitting right there and me sitting right here in large part, right? So now today, common knowledge is that
yo, I'm so legit, I went and got epilepsy, man.
Yeah,
you know?
right?
So I'm committed to the game I am, yo.
So, and we know today because of the sacrifices of people and the experimentation and everything else, it's common knowledge today that people know that cannabis can help with things like seizures, can help with things like chronic pain, can help with all these things. This was not common knowledge even a decade ago.
We were just talking about the last show, what's going to happen with cannabis in 5 years' time. And I just think about my mother-in-law now loves to eat edibles, not because she gets whacked, although she does love it.
Right.
She loves because they help her sleep.
Right.
I have friends that are like, oh, shit, I felt bad. Talked to my one buddy today, and they broke 3 ribs.
Right.
It's just like, thank your brother Trip for those edibles because it's what's kind of keeping me conscious right now. You know,
well,
just able to
PTSD. I mean, there's a multitude of things, and again, this is common knowledge that we know that these things help, right? Well, so let's go back to our, talking about, cannabis and that being the word for holy oil in the Bible and things like that. So riddle me this, Jesus or another priest or something like that is going around with holy oil and has somebody with seizures, that at that point in time, there was no idea of what was going on. They thought this was a crazy person. They thought they were possessed.
Wow,
okay.
Man.
So imagine, that being anointed with holy oil, all of a sudden those problems that they're having going away and very quickly. And we've seen the videos, right, of the kids just being like completely in a horrible seizure and it like coming out of it very, very quickly, right? Wouldn't you think that was a miracle? I sure as fuck would have. Okay. Here's another one. We also know it to be good for skin and skin things and skin cancer and skin problems.
Right.
Leprosy. Okay. So that's another thing that we read about, in the Bible and about ancient times and about these things and about that being one of the miracles is, curing leprosy. Well, again, so this was cannabis, right? So people knew cannabis, right? I mean, even Anslinger's campaign in the 30s to rid cannabis of it because of that looked, towards the lower class.
Of everything, yeah.
They intentionally called it marijuana because people knew what cannabis was and people knew that cannabis was medicine. They didn't marijuana. That sounds foreign. That sounds weird. That sounds. I don't know about that stuff.
Sounds Mexican.
And it's not like today where you pick up your dumb phone and you go, oh shit, that's the same thing. They didn't know it at that time.
That's true, man.
They didn't know it, man. Like, it's crazy.
You got good memories pre-internet. You're a little bit younger than me, but like I lived for a long ass time pre-internet.
Oh, I remember busy signals. I remember dial-up internet. I remember when my dad showed me the internet the first time. It wasn't more than like fucking text.
Do you remember the Anarchist Cookbook?
I had it.
Because that's what I remember as being like, there's just that now seems so silly, but there was so little information back then.
I should have said I had it. Oops. No.
I think you're allowed to.
Right. But I remember, tennis ball bombs, all kinds of weird little shit. But that was one of the more benign ones.
That was kind of dumb. Remember you're supposed to put match heads in a tennis ball?
Yeah. You have read it. Shout out to anybody that's old enough to have the Anarchist
Don't
Cookbook.
do that.
I had it on a disc.
It's so silly.
It's gone now. It's been gone. It's been gone for a long time.
Hey, you know what I do have still a regular copy of is Emperor Wears No Clothes. And you want to talk with Jack Herr. It's really basically just a collection of articles and pro-cannabis,
Sure.
Just a bunch of, it's just a collection of information, but it's a trip to think that I ran into Jack Herr. He came to my college campus talking about,
really?
Yep. I didn't know. When I look back, I'm like, yeah, that was the guy with the hemp powered moped that I thought was crazy in the quad.
Right.
Yep.
It makes a lot of sense now.
You know why I thought he was crazy? Because he was telling me that hemp could fix everything. He was hemp for fuel, hemp, hemp, you can make clothing out of hemp. I rode his moped off hemp, and he didn't look completely sane.
Right. You're like, I had a similar experience. I was in college when I remember it was like one of those deals. It was like hemp day or something. It was a worldwide thing. It was like 3,000 cities. I remember traveling to St. Louis, actually. It was over 3,000 people in this march, and we marched around downtown and, had somebody there with the hemp-powered diesel fuel car and all these things. And there was this guy that went up there and had written this book about, he's like the George Washington Carver of hemp, right? And all these, and I had a similar experience, just like, wow, this is all crazy. But at the same time, it's like, maybe it's not. It's kind of seems legit. And then here we are, I guess for me, it's like 20 years later, literally, that was 2001, quite literally. So it is wild to think about where everything's coming in 20 years. And at that time, it was cool just to be able to roll up a bunch of joints and get in a big enough crowd.
Right.
Where you wouldn't get fucked with. Because that was the only way you could smoke weed in public, really, was in a big enough crowd to where it was like, all right, now we're just crowd control as far as the police goes.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Before that, it's like, and now it's like I pretty much will duck around any little corner and,
roll
puff
a joint
you know what I mean? So,
We got that on video, right? What was that on the live stream? You did the hand roll? God, that impresses me. It does. I tell you what, man. I still want your tips, man. I still want the grow tips.
So,
just because I'm about to fire it up. I know how to basically use the new mill, but okay, here's my fears.
Yes.
Powdery mildew is a fucking fear, man. How the hell do you keep it at bay? I use a lot of silica.
Yeah, I would say absolutely a lot of silica. I'm a huge proponent of environmental controls when it comes to PM, and on top of that, I'm absolutely a general proponent of IPM strategies, meaning that's your environment, that's potential using regular sprays, doesn't have to be harsh sprays, but using some different oils, things like that, and then again, silica and just general vigor of your plant.
Yeah.
I learned long ago when I was in school. And
damn, this tastes good.
Yeah,
what is this?
That's a member berry. That's all member berry.
This tastes so you can taste it right through the joint. Hang on, I'm not even gonna.
Yeah. No, that's
Oh, we'll Bogart that, man.
Don't Bogart that joint, my friend.
Holy shit.
That's a good one, right?
Do you think is it urban bro science about silica?
No, I don't think it. Well, I think it's bro science from a straight potassium silicate. It's not readily bioavailable enough for an annual plant.
Silica ain't cheap, man. Why should I add it? Why should I buy it, man?
I call it liquid insurance. Do you need insurance? Do you like to have health insurance? Do you use your health insurance all the time? No, but you're fucking happy when you have it, right?
Yeah.
That's what I would say about any kind of ortho or monosilicic acid. It's liquid insurance.
That is insane. That bud is all. It's like just completely leaves. Even a taste on your lips, man.
Yeah,
what
it's
is
that skunkberry. So it's a skunkberry cross.
I can definitely. Wow. It's like sweet.
Yeah, it's sweet. It's skunky. It's even got a little bit of like a haze back to it, which for guys that have actually had some of that older school haze, like they really like the flavor on it as well.
Who does this? This is Ethos?
Yeah, it's Ethos. Yeah.
Wow, shout out to you, Colin. You do have to get your ass up here, man.
Yeah. I believe that's the Great Diamonds cut. If I not mistaken.
Ooh, man, this might fuck up the interview, man, or the hangout, I should say. There you go, brother.
Unfortunately, it's so not much of an interview when I come up here.
But what is so silica? That monosaccharic acid is the stuff that you use like half mil of instead of 5 mils of. It's
lab derived. It's the monosilicic. That's actually a lot cheaper. It's orthosilicic acid, and that's where you don't see listed on anything. It's kind of like the difference between humic and fulvics, right? You can register a humic, you can't register a fulvic, right?
Sure.
You can register a mono, you can't really register an ortho, but the ortho's where the fucking magic's at.
But I was just gonna say the humic fulvic. The fulvic is registered as a humic. It's just fulvic is just like a more smaller.
It's a lighter molecular weight. That's the thing. All fulvic acids are a humic acid, but all humic acids are a fulvic acid.
And how's that? All monosaccharics are orthosaccharics?
Well, it'd be basically the same. Well, it'd be like all salicylic acids are mono, but not all of them are ortho. So it's like the same kind of thing.
And all that's going to mean is orthosaccharic is more easily
more bioavailable. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's the more bioavailable, and that's for whatever reason, as far as lab derived aspect of it, is the more expensive part of it. And that's why you see they're all are fairly pricey. The first one that came on the market was Facilitor.
Shit is expensive.
Yeah, it is expensive. And even.
But if it's insurance, man, I'll take it.
Well, that's the thing, and that's why I really like to call it liquid insurance. Did I used to use it? Have I always used it?
I've always used silica, man.
But would I grow without it now? No, I wouldn't. But the reality is, when you were growing with silica, were you doing anything? Right? Were you doing anything?
Made my leaf shiny. I don't know. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas a real, truly bioavailable mononorthosilicic acid, you see the vigor in that plant. You
called it a biostimulant, or you said
correct. It's so bioavailable that it's considered a biostimulant. There's literally worldwide conferences on organic food production that talks just about mononorthosilicic acid, because you can use that for a plant to create. It's almost like an SAR, almost like a systemic acquired resistance kind of response, but not. It's not actually initiating those pathways, but it's that kind of thing, like just bulking itself up to protect it from any possible intrusions, right? So it's going to reduce any and all abiotic and biotic stresses, meaning heat, drought, cold, as well as bacterial, fungal, anything that's going to come out. Pest diseases.
Give me a bottle, man. I'll drink it.
Yeah, get it. I don't think it's poisonous. We'll have to get Neil on the phone and see.
No, I'm just kidding. But I was going to show the bottle of silicium. It's what, a 0.5 ml per gallon?
Yep.
Shout out, dude. You fucking are a great friend of the show. We always say vote with your dollars, support Jaron. Silicium, where can you find it?
You can find it just about anywhere. I mean, honestly, if anybody has trouble finding it, I always say, hit me up, Jaron_58, and that's PHIVE, the number 8 on IG. I'm really pretty damn good about getting back on DMs and stuff like that. It's pretty widely available. There are going to be some states that you can't get it. I definitely have online resources for people as well.
Sure.
If they need it. But yeah, it's pretty widely available.
Excellent, man. Excellent. Is this your... Oh, okay. I know there was one last trick, but you got any of the tricks before I talk about the. Why can't I think about it, man? The finish, man. The fucking
Winter Frost.
That's There's a giant sticker of it right in front of me. You're wearing a shirt that says it.
The Gateway Jug. The Gateway Jug. So that, I mean,
what can you do, man? This is what really interested me, or always interested me.
Yep.
Because I have to finish things off at the same time sometimes. If I got other plants waiting, I can't wait for if I want.
Exactly. And so do a lot of people commercially, right? They can't just leave the last half of the row or leave. It's like, I'll come back to that in a week. It doesn't work like that.
No.
And it's also like, even sometimes when you're even growing in soils or things like that, like the plants, because that soil is continuing to feed the plant, it's like it just keeps kind of wanting to go. I've even been in commercial situations where I'm like, they're like, oh, we're harvesting next week, and looking around and everything is green as fuck. And I'm going, these plants yellow out at all, or no?
Yeah,
and they're like, oh, yeah. A couple of them do. And I'm like, nah, that's not what I'm looking for.
No, man. Yeah.
So
fuck
even people within the DGC, I know even some of the no-till guys, even some of that, they use this product to help with exactly what I'm talking about, the fact to actually get their plants to finish, even in a soil situation. So it's super easy to use. It's a pre-flush, second to last week. If you're an 8-week guy, feed whatever the fuck you want to through 6. Use that product standalone or with Ruby, nothing else, nothing with an NPK value. And then flush week 8 to 8.5, get a good 7 to 10 day flush after you stop using it. More oil, more color, more individualization of your strains. So that's also the reason why I always bring the multiple strains as well. Because you can't see a little bit different color, a little bit different structure. Everything's supposed to be different. Why are we growing the multiple strains if not?
Wow, you are right, man. Some shit always does everything.
You don't want it to homogenize. I'm not here to call out any other products.
Phenotype too, though, man. We talk about that, how you grow something.
Exactly.
If you grow really and
Well, at the end of the day, like, what are we looking for? Genetic potential, right? Even though we don't know what that truly is, like, nobody knows what that is. It's not like if I get up there, I finally get there. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it does exist, and that's truly what we're all looking for. We're trying to take whatever the genetics in that plant, if it's a high-quality genetic, we're trying to push it to its absolute heights.
Right.
So at the end of the day, that product in particular really helps crack open that genetic potential and start getting there. So
fucking dig it.
So here we go, man. Friday.
As long as I'm talking grow, one last thing. What kind of media you like?
I'm a cocoa guy.
Me too. Pure cocoa. I'm like your t-shirts. Mine's going to say straight cocoa. And then mine's going to say cocoa curious.
Now you threw me off. I do like pure. I've always been a bottom flood. I use a Flow and Grow, Ebb and Grow bucket system.
Good.
And
man,
so I like a good leaching, from so like sipping as the term you kind of popularized, sipping rather than dripping.
But you're doing sip buckets as well?
Well, it's not sip bucket. It's just an ebb and flow bucket system. Okay. Right. So but it's sipping as opposed to dripping, right?
I dig it.
I like more of a perlite mix if you're dripping and more I used to always do pure from the bottom, but
Right.
I have actually been doing more 70-30 mix, even when I'm coming
With
from the
Perlite?
bottom. Yeah, and I'll tell you why. Just because there's a few varieties, specifically the OGs, that I've had issues with, just not liking wet feet. And it just helps their feet dry out a little bit more.
Yeah.
90% of the plants don't give a shit and might even like it being a little bit wetter, but you just got a few that like I've had some issues with, and I tend to not have those issues with 70-30 bottom flooding it. So
Yeah, with hempies, I'm thinking I might have to adjust the level of perlite, and just if it doesn't like wet feet, just adjust the level.
Exactly, and that's something. And again, part of that's knowing your genetics too, right?
Yeah,
and
it'll take a minute.
But see, that's step 4, right? That's grower, right? You know what I mean? Like, so that again, that's where that critical component is.
Yep.
And even when you're running the genetics the first time, okay, are you paying attention? Are you taking notes?
Yeah.
Do you have a calendar? I mean, it's like, what are you doing? Because people always like to talk about like, oh, well, how do I fix this? Oh, no. There is no fixing this, bro. This is an annual plant. It's already fucking happened.
The trick is
already. What are you doing next time to avoid this?
keep them fucking.
What are you doing
fast,
next time?
Never stop.
I'll tell people this, and I'll leave this as a lasting impression. Even in something like corn, which is an agronomic crop where you can actually get crop insurance,
Right.
something as small as one yellow stripe down the leaf is now a documented crop loss that I can actually get insurance from, because now we all know for a fact it is not going to hit its potential.
Right.
It's not going to hit the bushels per acre that it could.
Sure.
So you think it's any different in cannabis? I can tell you it's not. It's not about fixing problems this run. It's about fixing problems next run.
Yeah, keep them growing strong right out of the cloning chamber. That's even you talk about taking really big, strong clones.
Taking big, strong cones. I'll be honest, Como was the first person I ever saw take these just fucking banger big. I'm like, God damn. He's like, no, I like them the woodier the better. And it's like, I always went conventional wisdom, Jorge Cervantes style, take it from the bottoms. And that was also like convenient too, right? Trying to keep the top, I'll just take it from the bottom. And they're just so wormy, weird. And I like to do a straight stick. I mean, I stick them right into those cups.
Right.
I root right into those cups. I don't, and those have been done the same way. And I know who they came from, and he likes my text. So
now you don't find it gets too wet?
No.
The cocoa?
No, I don't. Hey, you don't overwater it.
And just take this, you put it in when you first stick them, you put these in a dome or something?
No, I don't put them in a dome. I don't put them in anything.
The fuck? You just...
Yeah, and this is in Colorado. 25% humidity. Yeah, no problem.
I don't get it, man.
Well,
All right. I'll figure it out. We'll talk, man. We'll talk. I have a great...
But I do like a pure signum, and you want a good woody cut. I'll typically take that one that's bigger, right? That's a perfect one to take a clone off of. Let me see that thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I would do is, this has already been taken. This has been direct stuck into here and cloned, right? And obviously it's got the roots. Everybody can see the roots, cup and cup. The only reason those are dark, by the way, is from recharge, just to be clear, so nobody's talking any shit. Anyway, what I would do in this scenario is now come in and go, okay, I've got boom, 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 right? I'm taking the clone right here because I need to top it anyway, and I'm taking this nice top woody clone. I'm going to cut it right there. Then I'm going to peel this down and maybe even peel this down and then stick it in straight into either a 70-30 or a pure. Okay. I do like kind of sticking right into the pure for this, even though I'll grow in the bigger bucket in the 70-30, because that perlite sometimes just scratches up the side stems and just gets it almost kind of gets it like going in weird rate. Maybe you get like in a weird little pocket of perlite and it's like.
You using cloning gel?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what do you put in? You can't just use raw cocoa. You need some kind of nutrient.
No, sir.
Raw cocoa with nothing.
Raw cocoa with nothing.
Whoa.
Yep. And so the first watering, after about 5 to 7 days, I'll put in a little bit of filtered water. Right. And then the second watering, I'll end up putting in basically full strength nutrients. I'll water them down like a little bit, but if I'm like watering the veg, then I'll put a little bit in a water can, put a little extra water in there, and just throw a little water food in there that way.
How old do you think those are?
These, I mean, depends how big the clone was taken too.
How fast could you make that plant? With a nice big clone. That's a month.
So how much can I get another clone going?
You can do
like this size again?
Whatever you think he cut, man. Is that a month old?
That's probably so here's what gets weird too. It's like, is it a month after it gets roots, or are we talking from the day it gets stuck in there?
From the day it gets stuck. Yeah. Because take a look.
Probably 6 weeks.
Because I don't think that's grown much, has it?
That's definitely grown some for sure.
What do you think it was when it started? About to
Probably like down here.
Oh, I thought you said he took a big honker.
No, I mean, he could have taken a pretty big one, but you also got to think like that whole stem could be in the, you got that much room there too.
How's,
you know what I mean? So let's say it was even this big going in there. That's a 10-inch plant.
How much stem do you put in there?
I not quite all the way to the bottom. Sometimes it's the bottom, but like no, because think about it, that's surface area.
Yeah, and you
know,
peel
the
it
more
down.
You want,
You scrape the sides
or peel it. Yeah, peel it's preferable.
The whole side.
Yeah, as much as you can. So I like to have at least 2 nodes above it if possible.
Got it.
Get that peel in, and if you get the good peel, that's pure cambium layer right there. If you're scraping, you're going in and out of cambium. It's so thin, like it's tough to like. Which I even like doing more of like a scrape on it rather than trying to cut into it, because too many times you like cut down into it. So if you just take the blade and go like that,
X-Acto knife.
Yeah, X-Acto knife, and like scrape it, you'll kind of get more of a shavings off of it, and not every, you know how it'll have like those little ridges.
Yep.
And so if you take those shavings off, that'll work well. But if you really want true cambium layer, like getting that perfect peel, dude, that's as good as it gets.
Dude, this is pretty goddamn good, brother. Pretty goddamn good. We still got what, half a joint?
Yeah.
I love it. It's Friday afternoon. We're getting a little bit loose. Jaron, you crushed it, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Always great fucking hanging out.
I know my grow is going to be in good hands. You better show up every couple of weeks, man.
Every couple of weeks, I'll commit to come by.
Hey, don't embarrass me, all right? Nah, you're crushing it, brother. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks everybody for their continued support. It's always a pleasure.
Have a great weekend, DGC.
Cheers.
Some people love to blaze up the dank. Yeah, we get high before noon. And when the boss man says to take a little break, that means we're lighting up a dude. It's just weed. It's just weed. I like to keep a good buzz on. It's just weed. It's just weed. In my toolbox there's a bone. Some people start their day off with a pill. It's what the doctor says to do. They shake their heads at natural medicine. Go ahead and try something new. It's just weed. It's just weed. I like to keep a good buzz on. It's just weed. It's just weed. I like to smoke it all day long. Yeah. If the big man catch you riding high, ooh, we gonna lock you in a cage. No, if you wonder why he hates the dank, just look at how he's being paid. Now,